Now today we are going to start with data integration. Okay. So what is data integration? Data integration is nothing but merging data from multiple sources. So whenever for any type of analysis we want to collect the data, we never get data from only one source, right? We have to collect that data from multiple sources. Maybe some data is stored in the database, some data we need to collect from survey, some data we need to collect from data warehouse, or if there are multiple branches, we have to collect the data from multiple branches. Okay, so when we'll collect those that data from various sources, we have to collect, right? So when we will collect that data from multiple sources, whatever data we will have, the data need to be integrated, right? So merging data from multiple sources, when we merge that data from multiple sources, that data may have redundancies and inconsistency. Okay, it is not like everywhere data is stored in the same format. So whenever we combine that data, whenever we merge that data contains redundancies and inconsistencies. So to integrate data by removing those redundancies or inconsistency is called as data integration. Okay, and when we properly integrate the data, it will enhance accuracy and speed of data mining. Okay, now what is the meaning of redundancy? Redundancy is nothing but the duplicate data. Many times duplicate data is present in our data set. Okay, and inconsistency means data is not uniform. Okay, there is no uniformity in the data is called as inconsistency. Maybe codes of the same column are different, maybe range is not same. Okay, this type of data is called as inconsistent data. So whenever we go for integrating the data at one place, we need to take care of these redundancies and inconsistency. When we remove these redundancies and inconsistencies from the data, then only our data will be accurate and it will give you good results. It will increase speed of data mining process, because in real world the data is huge, and if in that huge data you keep the duplicates as it is, if you keep that inconsistencies as is, then it will reduce speed of your process and it will give you inaccurate result. So to avoid that, proper data integration process must be followed. Okay, and whatever inaccurate data you have in your data set, that must be removed. Okay, so that is achieved using various data integration processes. Okay, and that we are going to discuss now. So what challenges are there in data integration? They are listed here. First is semantic heterogeneity. That means differences in meaning and interpretation of data across the sources. Okay, various kind of data is there, and there may be difference in the meaning of that data or interpretation of that data, because it is stored with some other name, it is stored in some different format. So maybe while analyzing, while looking at the data, we may interpret same data in different ways. Okay, that is called as semantic heterogeneity. And then structure of the data. So there may be variations in data format. Data may be stored in different format in different data sets. So that is one challenge. So we have to remove the semantic heterogeneity of the data, and we have to structure our data in proper format. Okay, and for that, for data integration, we have these four techniques. We are going to see these four techniques. First is entity identification problem, then correlation tests, then tuple duplication and data value conflicts. Okay, these are the techniques, or you can say these are the issues exist in the data and we are going to remove these issues using various data integration techniques. Basically, first try to understand the concept of data integration. Okay, data integration means integ data integration means combining or merging data from various sources. Okay, why here we are saying various sources? Because जब भी आपको डेटा माइनिंग परफॉर्म करना है तो सबसे पहला टास्क होता है आपका डेटा कलेक्शन, राइट? और जब आप डेटा कलेक्ट करते हो तो ऐसे ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपको सारा डेटा एक ही जगह पे मिल जाए, right? You have to collect that data from different resources, and when you collect data from different resources you have to merge them, right? So this merging of data is called as data integration. लेकिन जब आप डेटा मर्ज करते हो तो मर्ज करने के लिए या कंबाइन करने के लिए उस डेटा में कंसिस्टेंसी चाहिए, वो डेटा सेम फॉर्मेट में चाहिए, राइट? और जब आप सी ओके, लेट मी गिव यू वन एग्जांपल। जैसे हम देखते हैं डीमार्ट का सेल्स या परचेज का एनालिसिस। ओके, तो डीमार्ट के वेरियस ब्रांचेस है, जैसे ये एक ब्रांच है, ये एक दूसरा ब्रांच है, ठीक है, और एक ब्रांच है DM3। ओके, अभी क्या करना है, इनका एक डेटाबेस है हमारे पास, इनका एक दूसरा डेटाबेस है, इनका एक तीसरा डेटाबेस है। अभी हमें डेटा इंटीग्रेशन करना है, मतलब क्या करना है, ये डेटा, ये तीनों ये ब्रांच का डेटा हमें एक ही डेटाबेस में स्टोर करना है, ठीक है। नाउ इस डेटाबेस में जो भी आपके पास डेटा स्टोर होगा, नॉट नेसेसरी कि सेम डेटा ही इस डेटाबेस में भी होगा और सेम डेटा इस डेटाबेस में होगा। सेम डेटा मीन्स लेट से आपके पास रिलेशनल डेटाबेस में स्टोर है डेटा, तो जैसे कस्टमर का डेटा है तो लेट से यहाँ पे होगा कस्टमर ID, देन नेम, एड्रेस, कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर, ओके, तो यहाँ पे फ़ोन नंबर, ऐसा डेटा है लेट से। ओके, तो इसने पूरा लिखा है कस्टमर आईडी में भी, इसका जो डेटाबेस है इसमें सिर्फ कस्ट आईडी लिखा हो, और इसमें अगर कुछ डेटा है तो उसमें सिर्फ CID लिखा हो, ठीक है। तो ये क्या हुआ, दे आर दे मे बी सेविंग सेम डेटा। ओके, इनके डेटाबेस में सिमिलर टाइप का डेटा स्टोर है, लेकिन इन्होंने जो नेमिंग कन्वेंशन यूज किया वो अलग अलग है। तो जब भी आप ये डेटा मर्ज करोगे तो इनको आपको कुछ तो एक स्टैंडर्ड वर्ड देना पड़ेगा, राइट? अदरवाइज क्या होगा, अगर आपने एज इट इज मर्ज कर दिया तो आपके डेटा में 3 कॉलम्स बनेंगे, एक बनेगा कस्टमर आईडी का, दूसरा बनेगा फर्स्ट आईडी का, तीसरा बनेगा CID का, राइट? लेकिन ये तीनों तो सेम ही रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, सेम ही कॉलम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, ठीक है। तो ये क्या हुआ, सिमेंटिक हिटेरोजेनिटी, मतलब आपके डेटा में रिडंडेंसी है या आपका डेटा कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है। तो ये इनकंसिस्टेंसी की वजह से एक तो आपका डेटा इनएक्यूरेट होगा या फिर रिडंडेंसी होगी आपके डेटा में, और जब आप ऐसे डेटा पे डेटा माइनिंग प्रोसेस अप्लाई करोगे तो आपको गलत रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे। इसलिए हमें क्या करना पड़ता है, जो भी डेटा आप कलेक्ट करोगे यू हैव टू लुक इनटू दैट डेटा, और जो भी रिडंडेंसीज है, इनकंसिस्टेंसीज है, ये आपको रिमूव करनी पड़ेगी। ओके, एंड हाउ टू रिमूव देम, बिकॉज डेटा तो बहुत ह्यूज होगा, एक एक वैल्यू थोड़ी ना आप उसमें देखते बैठोगे। तो फॉर दैट वी हैव वेरियस टेक्निक्स। ओके, तो ये प्रॉब्लम समझ में आया, तो उसको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए हमारे पास डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स है, वो हम इसके आगे देखेंगे। अभी क्लियर है? लेट्स मूव फर्दर। The first issue in data is entity identification problem. Okay. Now, what is this entity identification problem? Entity identification problem in data mining refers to the challenge of accurately matching records or entities from different data sources that refer to the same real world object. Okay, अभी जो मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया कस्टमर आईडी का, राइट? या लेट से आपके डेटाबेस में कस्टमर का टेबल है। So entity identification is the task of identifying or accurately identifying the matching entities or the similar records in your database, which is collected from various data sources. ओके, तो जैसे हमने इसके पहले एग्जांपल में देखा कि कस्टमर आईडी था, तो वी हैव थ्री डेटा सोर्सेस, and from three data sources we have collected the data, and in every data set that customer id is stored with different name. So to identify that these three columns are equal, that problem is called as entity identification problem. Okay, and now why this problem is arise? This problem arises due to differences in schema, naming conventions, formats, and data quality across databases. Okay, because we are collecting data from various data sources, so maybe naming conventions different use कर रहे हैं, format में भी अलग अलग use कर रहे हैं, तो these are the reasons due to which entity identification problem arise. Okay, and then we can address that problem. If we address that problem properly through standardization of data or data cleaning and similarity matching, we can effectively merge disparate uh, disparate data sources into an accurate integrated database. Okay, अगर हमने carefully data को observe किया, right, and carefully हमने ये entity identify किए जो similar है, और उसको एक स्टैंडर्ड उसका स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन किया, मतलब जो हमारे पास तीन अलग अलग नाम थे कॉलम्स के, उसको आपने एक ही कुछ स्टैंडर्ड नाम दिया है, जैसे कस्टमर, जैसे भी आपको चाहिए, कस्टमर आईडी, और ये जो तीनों है, कस्टमर आईडी, ये कस्ट आईडी और ये सी आईडी, ये तीनों को इसमें मर्ज कर दिया, तो ये क्या हुआ, standardization. Okay, so with standardization you can solve the problem of entity identification or data cleaning or similarity matching. These are two of the techniques by using which you can solve entity identification problem. Okay, and by solving that entity identification problem you can effectively merge different data sources into one integrated database. Okay, let us understand this entity identification problem with one example. Okay, I have included one example. Now imagine you are working with two customer databases. Okay, we have two customer databases from different departments in a retail company. Okay, let's say we have a retail company, retail store, and in that retail company we have different departments. Okay, now customer of that retail company will be same, even if departments are different, customers will be same. Now we are collecting data from different departments, two different departments, sales and support. So in a retail company we have two departments, first is sales, another is support, and we are collecting customer data from sales as well as support. Okay, now each department will have its own database and you want to integrate this database. Okay, you want to merge those two databases, one is from sales, another is from support. Okay, so now let us understand here. See, this first table you see over here is database 1, which is from sales department. Okay, and this is database 2 from support department. Okay, if you keenly observe this data, see here the column name is customer id, here the column name is cost number. Okay, now here the column name is name, and in another database the column name is full name. Now here the column name is email, and in another database the column name is email address. Okay, again here the contact number is stored using name, phone, and here contact number. Okay, so these discrepancies are occurring in this data set just due to वेरियस नेमिंग कन्वेंशन. ओके, मतलब सेल्स के लोगों को लगा कि मुझे कॉलम को ये नाम देने चाहिए, दे हैव गिवन दिस नेम्स. In support they have given for the same information, they have given different names. Okay, now if you observe the data in customer id, the ids are like 101, 102, 103. These are only numeric values. And if you see here, uh, in the another database the customer ids are stored using C001, C002, C003. These are alphanumeric values. Okay, but every customer will be identified using only one id, right? but the formats stored in sales department and for format in which customer ID is stored in support department is different. In support department, every time they are beginning that customer ID with C. Okay, this is the data of same three customers. Now, if you see the name here, the name is stored like John Doe, and here the name is stored like Jonathan Doe. Okay, Jane Smith is stored as Janet Smith. Jim Brown is stored as James Brown. Okay, email ID is also stored in different way. Okay, and phone numbers are also phone numbers are I think same. Okay, only the column name is different. So what are challenges here? Because we have different attribute names, first you have to identify that this customer ID and customer name is one and the same. Then only you have to merge it. If you consider this customer ID and customer number as different, there will be two columns in your integrated database, and which is not correct. Okay, so first the challenge is to identify different attribute names, okay, which are representing same data but only the name is different. Okay, then you have to identify variations in data, like in customer ID. Here you can see the customer IDs are stored in different format, and here in database two customer numbers are stored in different format. So you need to identify these variations in data. Okay, and then data quality issues. Data quality issues means whenever we are storing email, there must be some proper format that should be followed for everyone, right? Then only quality of data is maintained. So some rules must be there to store some kind of data like phone number. So in India we have phone number of 10 digits, so you should not allow any other phone number in this column. So such rules should be decided to ensure quality of your data. Okay, these are the challenges. So once you identified these attribute name variations in data, data quality issues, once you identify these, then you can address, you can resolve those problems. Okay, now how to solve this entity identification? The first thing you need to do is standardize attribute names. Okay, just a second. Okay, now you can see steps to resolve this entity identification. First you need to standardize the attribute names. Like I said कि अगर आपके पास तीन अलग अलग सोर्सेस में कस्टमर आईडी के लिए अलग अलग कॉलम नेम दिया है, तो यू डिसाइड ओनली वन कॉलम नेम एंड merge all customer IDs into that column name. Like here we have taken customer ID name, then for name we have decided name, email and phone. Okay, so from once you standardize these attribute names, no matter from how many data sources you are collecting data. Here we have considered only two database. अगर आप अलग अलग 5 database से भी column ले रहे हो, so उसमें क्या नेमिंग यूज किया है दैट डजेंट मैटर. ओके, आपको आपने क्या किया, स्टैंडर्डाइज किए एट्रीब्यूट नेम्स. तो वॉट एवर column name other databases are using, you will now give the standard name for customer ID, that is like this. Okay, for name you are going to give name, for email and phone. Okay, now use metadata. Okay, in data cleaning process also we have seen the importance of metadata. Like with every column you should store some metadata. Metadata is nothing but the information. So what this particular column is storing, that you should store. Okay, when you store such information along with your data, it is very useful while merging the data. ओके, तो यहाँ पे ये कस्टमर आईडी बहुत सिंपल था, इसलिए आपको समझ में आया कि ये तीनों सिमिलर हैं. ठीक है, लेकिन अगर कुछ कॉम्प्लेक्स नाम का एट्रीब्यूट है आपके डेटा में और उसके साथ मेटा डेटा इंफॉर्मेशन आपने कुछ भी स्टोर नहीं किया है, तो वहाँ पे आप जब मर्ज करोगे डेटा तो यू विल गेट इनटू कंफ्यूजन. ये सिमिलर है या अलग अलग है, मर्ज करना चाहिए या नहीं मर्ज करना चाहिए. सो फॉर दैट मेटा डेटा इज वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट. So utilize that metadata to understand meaning, data type and valid ranges of each attribute, and this will help you correctly matching fields from different sources. Okay, once you have proper information about that particular column, you will be confident enough to merge them. Okay, and then the third step to resolve entity identification is data cleaning. Okay, so you have to clean the data to fix variations and inconsistencies. जैसे कस्टमर आईडी हमने देखे थे कि दोनों भी डेटा सेट में कस्टमर आईडी अलग अलग थे, तो to fix that variation you have to decide one thing, either take it from first table or from second table, right? Because one customer cannot have multiple IDs, right? So वैसे ईमेल में भी हम कंसिस्टेंट फॉर्मेट फॉलो कर सकते हैं, फोन नंबर में भी एक कंसिस्टेंट फॉर्मेट फॉलो कर सकते हैं. So if you follow these steps, your data will be consistent, and there will be no confusion, there will be no redundancy in your data. Got it? This is called as entity identification problem, and then we have seen steps to resolve that problem. Next problem we are going to see, that is of redundancy. Okay, redundancy मतलब जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, redundancy is nothing but the duplicate data. Okay, now how to identify duplicate data in your data set and how to remove it, that we are going to see. Okay, so redundancy in data integration occurs when an attribute can be derived from another attribute or a set of attributes. Okay, redundancy is not necessary the duplicate data, but redundancy can be like, let's say you have in your data set you have uh, purchase data, okay, purchase data of customer, and in that let's say you are storing number of items that that particular customer has purchased, like item 1, लेट्स से उसका प्राइस होगा 200 एंड यहाँ पे क्वांटिटी होगा 3. ओके, वैसे ही आइटम 2 500 and 1. Okay, now this data you are storing, and along with this let's say you are storing total, जैसे 200 into 3 600 500. ये क्या हो गया, this is redundancy, because you are already storing price, you are already storing quantity, then there is no need to store the total, because we can calculate, we can easily calculate it, right? 200 into 3 500 into 1, no need to store this total value in the database, it will occupy memory, right? And this will be redundancy. So redundancy occur when an attribute can be derived from another attribute. Here you can see this total is derived from these two attributes, right? This price and quantity, and this is total. So we are deriving this total from price into quantity. So there is no need to store this total, because this will be then redundancy. So redundancy occur when an attribute is derived from another attribute or set of attributes. This can lead to inefficiencies and inaccuracies in the data set. Okay, if you keep those redundancies as it is, it will lead to inefficiencies, because it will take memory storage, right? And your data will not be correct then, because there is no need to store that data itself. So it is good to remove those redundancy in the data. So an attribute is redundant when we say an attribute is redundant if its value can be derived from other attribute. Okay, for example, annual revenue might be redundant if it is calculated from monthly revenue data, means in some database if you are storing monthly revenue, okay, and along with monthly revenue if you are storing annual revenue, and this annual revenue is nothing but monthly revenue into 12. So what is need of storing this annual revenue? There is no need, because we are deriving that annual revenue from this column. So this annual revenue here is what? it is redundant, and we should not store such redundant data in our data set. Okay, why? The reason is memory storage will be required, right? So you have to give memory to store such data, and due to unnecessary storage in your data, it will lead to inefficiency. Okay, it can hamper processing speed, right, and inaccuracies in the data. How to detect the redundancy? Okay, so finding redundancy, we have various techniques, like first is correlation analysis, then chi-square test, correlation coefficient, and covariance. These are the methods to detect redundancy in your data. Okay, so here just for example we have taken very small example, but in real world the data is very huge. Okay, and there are so many hundreds of columns, so just by looking at data you cannot find the redundancies in your data. Okay, so there are standard techniques through which you can detect the redundancies in the data, and once you find that redundancies you can remove them. Okay, now the first technique that we are going to see for redundancy removal is chi-square correlation test for nominal data. Okay, so for the test we are going to see for nominal data. And what is chi-square correlation test? For what we use? To remove redundancy. मतलब आपके डेटा में कोई एक नॉमिनल, कुछ नॉमिनल वेरिएबल्स है, कुछ कॉलम ऐसे हैं जिसमें नॉमिनल डेटा स्टोर है, और आपको फाइंड आउट करना है कि वो जो नॉमिनल वेरिएबल है उसमें रिडंडेंसी है या नहीं, right? To find out redundancy in nominal data, we have a test called chi-square test, chi-square correlation test. So let's say अगर दो कॉलम है, दो नॉमिनल डेटा के कॉलम है आपके पास ए एंड बी, तो ये काई स्क्वायर टेस्ट के बाद आपको पता चलेगा कि ए एंड बी रिडंडेंट है या नहीं। मतलब इनमें अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग कोरिलेशन है, मतलब ए और बी के बीच में जो भी हम काई स्क्वायर टेस्ट से कैलकुलेशन करेंगे उससे हमें क्या पता चलेगा? कोरिलेशन। ओके, अगर ये कोरिलेशन स्ट्रॉन्ग है तो ए या बी में से हम एक रिमूव कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज इट shows that A is derived from B और B is derived from A, राइट? जैसे हमने देखा कि क्या है हमारे पास, मंथली रेवेन्यू है एंड एनुअल रेवेन्यू है, ठीक है? तो दिस एनुअल रेवेन्यू इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम मंथली रेवेन्यू, ठीक है? तो जब भी हम डेटाबेस ये लेंगे तो उसमें से एक तो ये रिमूव करेंगे या तो फिर ये रिमूव करेंगे, बिकॉज सिर्फ मंथली रेवेन्यू है तो उससे हम एनुअल कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं इंटू 12 करके, या फिर अगर आपके पास एनुअल रेवेन्यू है तो उसको डिवाइड बाय 12 करके आप मंथली रेवेन्यू निकाल सकते हैं, ठीक है? तो ये दोनों क्या है? स्ट्रांगली कोरिलेटेड. So when two columns are strongly correlated, it shows that there is redundancy present in the data. Okay, and to remove that redundancy, you can keep one of the column and you have to delete one of the column. ठीक है, इनमें से एक कोई भी डिलीट कर देंगे तो रिडंडेंसी रिमूव हो जाएगा. वैसे ही कोई भी दो कॉलम है उनमें कोरिलेशन है या नहीं, इसके लिए हमारे पास एक टेस्ट है, दैट इज काई स्क्वायर टेस्ट. So this chi-square test will tell you whether these A and B columns are strongly correlated or weakly correlated or not correlated. ठीक है? And once you get this, you can decide कि आपको आपके डेटाबेस में रिडंडेंसी है या नहीं, वो आपको पता चलेगा. एंड देन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट यू कैन डिसाइड कि एक कॉलम रिमूव करना है या दोनों भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. अगर उन दोनों में कोई भी कोरिलेशन नहीं है, मीन्स दे आर नॉट कोरिलेटेड, एंड दैट मीन्स यू नीड बोथ द कॉलम्स. लेकिन अगर उन दोनों में स्ट्रॉन्ग कोरिलेशन है, मतलब आइदर ए इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम बी और बी इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम ए, यू कैन रिमूव वन ऑफ देम।